Welcome back to the Get Up, Spotify's daily morning show. We hope you enjoyed those songs that we picked out just for you. X is back here in the building, and today I have somebody in the building. You probably know his name. If you don't know his name, I bet you've seen one of his posts. If you haven't personally seen one of his posts, I bet you one of your friends did and brought it up to you in your group chats. He's a DJ, a media personality who's really been a lead tastemaker in hip hop culture and entertainment for almost a decade. He first caught polarizing popularity for his coverage of the Chicago drill scene back in 2014, but he's been making his mark ever since. You may remember him from co-hosting Complex's Everyday Struggle alongside Joe Budden, or closely covering the saga that is Tekashi 6ix9ine's career. Today, he's here because he's a part of the Spotify fam. He's part of the Spotify family because he has an exclusive Spotify podcast that drops today. It's called Off the Record. So check that out. Welcome, DJ Akademiks. Where's my air horn? Peace.
I love that intro.
I got you, my bro.
Hey, listen, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of the Spotify family. And listen, man. Hey, listen, I came over here to shake stuff up a little bit. I'm a little polarizing, but it's all good. We're going to make it work.
Yo, man, do what you do. That's why you're here, right? You know what I'm saying? So do what you do. In a sentence, what's the show going to be about? Like, how you going to bring what you do online to this platform?
Well, I really thought I developed a platform, right, by just being super authentic and kind of speaking from the fans' point of view. And if you ever hear a fan talk that's not of the industry, in the industry, super unfiltered, they're saying what they want. And, when you listen to a lot of, outlets who discuss music, sometimes just doesn't seem like it's incongruent with what a lot of fans are saying. So we're going to bring that back. That's why it's called Off the Record. We're going to have the conversations that might be a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to talk about everything and anything going on in the culture. And I'm going to bring all the people who people want to hear from to the show. So I can't wait to do that. And obviously, I'm pretty sure we'll get some moments off that everybody will talk about. So I just think it's going to be a great time.
Bro, so let's go back to the beginning then. How'd you get interested in covering hip hop culture, like as a profession?
Oh, that's a great one. Yo, so I'm Jamaican first and foremost, I kind of wear that on my sleeves.
Big up.
And like even recently, like people saw me posting certain things like, the Olympic Games just happened. They're like, yo, what's going on? I'm like, hey, no, listen, I got a rep for my Jamaican ladies. I was born there. Now, I say that to say really how I got into kind of, covering hip hop culture and really trying to establish a voice is that, man, so I was born in Jamaica. And if you listen to dancehall or reggae, the DJ is the singular loudest voice in dancehall culture. Like they set the narrative, they kind of explain the music, and their voice is very important. So, I move over here and I get into hip hop and, I become a DJ as well. I was doing a little college radio, then I become a DJ as well. And one of the things I noticed I was lacking, I was like, man, I just thought it was whack that DJs were just like playing music and not really giving their opinion, because like it was so different from like the dancehall genre and reggae genre that I was also used to. I'm like, hey, why don't why don't me as a DJ become a little bit more vocal? It still could be about the music, but also steering the music and the conversation the right way. Because, of course, when it comes to hip hop, it's not only about music, it's a culture. And that definitely involves dialogue and, of course, discourse. So, I started kind of just sharing my pain. And at first, I didn't really understand the magnitude of the people that were listening. But, thanks to the glorious thing that we're on called the internet, like my voice started to spread. A lot of people started to say, hey, listen, he's actually speaking for me. And hey, even though that might not be a popular opinion, I like that he's willing to say that because that's how he truly feels. So that's how I kind of got into, the whole thing of like becoming a personality in hip hop. After that, I realized I had a platform. I remember even like just was like 5, maybe 7 years ago, like getting like my Instagram page going on. I saw like Ball Alert, Shade Room, they were going crazy. And I was like, we don't only have to talk on YouTube. And I literally just copied their format. I was just like, yo, here's like the barbershop for dudes that we're going to post music. We're going to post, certain stuff that, dudes would probably be interested in, at least when it came to hip hop. And that just grew as well. So, I've kind of just took that and put it to other socials or other facets of what I do. And in the last like 3-4 years, it's all about creating content for me. I got on Everyday Struggle. At that point, because I was just doing a lot of YouTube stuff, I took that opportunity to say, hey, I looked up to some of these people who were the greats in broadcasting, especially when it came to hip hop or just urban culture. Salute to Wendy Williams, salute to Stars, salute to Charlemagne, someone who's a very close mentor of mine. And I was like, you know what? I'm about to make my mark for this generation that I'm coming in and that I'm trying to affect. And from there on, I've kind of done it my way, and it's kind of worked out a bit, I would say.
Now, the show is called Off the Record, but you've been on the record for a little while now, calling Drake's Certified Lover Boy a classic. Now, it's only been out a little bit of time. How can you justify calling this album a classic in this short amount of time?
Okay, so I got to tell you, brother, right? Like, first of all, and this is why also Off the Record is going to be it's going to be the best show ever, because, I'm going to tell you my biases at the door. There's a few people I'm biased for, okay? I wouldn't call it a stan, because a stan lacks objectivity. I'm going to say I am a super fan of Drake. I grew up with Drake's music. And by the way, I look at a lot of people in media like the same way how I feel about Drake, they felt about Jay-Z coming up, So I'm inclined to like his music more. Some of the songs that was on the album I heard before. Shoot, I have a personal relationship with him. I was begging him to put those albums, I don't care if it was old, on the project. I also see and realize, and I've realized in the last couple of years, man, just how much the narrative about an album, what it does to fans in terms of groupthink, right? Like, for example, I see a lot of people trying to say it's mid, and then I realize people not even giving it a chance. And one thing about Drake's album opposed to other people's album, because I do try to be fair, because I'm going to listen I won't have a perfect opinion or a fully formed opinion, even though it'll probably still be classic. Until the end of the week, I'm going to give it a straight week.
Okay.
It's impossible for you to really break down an album and really judge it before a week. But I'm going to tell you the truth, right? And I know I've been tweeting out that it's classic. I like it. I think some of the criticisms are definitely unfounded. And also, I think the Kanye aspect kind of messed up how people are receiving the album. But, what Drake said a couple of years ago is still right, man, at least to me. Like, with his projects, I remember when, in 2011, when Take Care came out, people were like, yo, man, I was clowning it. I was like, man, this is soft. Okay. Like, this is like really weak. Like, man, you're supposed to be the guy to take over from Wayne, and you come in with this type of stuff. Man, lo and behold, 3 years later, we're calling it classic. You know what I mean? It's the same with Nothing Was the Same. A lot of his works is appreciated with time, and it's not microwavable music, which I also do enjoy. Like, there's certain albums I could listen to, and if it's not bumping that first weekend I'm listening to it, I'm probably not going to listen to it again, right?
Well, it's hard to. It has to pull you in, right? You need something to pull you into it, right? And what you're saying is it pulled me in. I like it right now, and I think because with Take Care, Nothing Was the Same took you a minute to catch it. Yeah. You saying, I think with some time, this is going to stand the test of time with you, at least being a Drake fan.
100%. And I think people just wanted to hear the hits, man. And I've been begging for an album that's not that hit centric. So like, I think people who like Drake have a specific reason why they do it. Some like R&B, some like just hits, some like when he does like Jamaican music. You know what I mean? For me, this was kind of what I wanted. Maybe one big hit, right? But other than that, I'm good.
So what'd you think of Donda then?
Donda, I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was, I thought when he did the listening parties, he was trying to use us, the fans, as pretty much the executive producer or A&R for the project.
A&Rs.
Hey, we don't like this. We like this here. Maybe if you change this, make this shorter. But everything that people were complaining about, he's kept everything on it. It was just part ones and part twos. I felt like he could have boiled it down a bit. There are a few verses that, ain't need to really be on there. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I love Playboy Cardi, but we could have done without Cardi. I love Yachty. I could have done without Yachty. Yeah. By the way, I love those individuals, but like the songs, it didn't need to be that long. That's why I think it catches some criticisms. Second thing with it is like, it's beautiful music. But I said the same thing, at least right now, about both albums, is that what you thought the theme was going to be, I don't think they fully executed when you heard the project. When I'm hearing Donda, I'm thinking about the loss of his mom. I always said that the perfect marriage for what I would think Donda would be, especially in the spiritual path he's on, would be a marriage songs like Hey Mama and Ultralight Beam, right? That would be like a really good religious tribute to his mom. Except, he strayed away from it a little bit. Same with Drake, Certified Lover Boy. Man, I'm thinking we're going to get songs like Days in the East, Girls Love Beyonce. I'm thinking we're going to get the joints. You know what I mean? Like some of those joints that were like, hey, this is why we like Drake on his R&B vibes. And it came across like it was a little bit forced. So I don't think neither of them really hit the nail on the head when it came to executing the theme or the perceived theme about the project. But, they're artists, they get that little leeway.
Well, since we're here, I got to ask you about this because I actually heard Life of the Party, the Andre 3000 joint on your Instagram. Now, what do you think about the way that artists engage in battles now, in beef right now?
Truth be told, and for example, like that particular record, right? There was two different versions where Kanye wasn't rapping at Drake and one where he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kanye probably changed his verse on that record, knowing it was going to be a big record. Like in terms of how people get at each other, these days we can't even foresee. Like I was even watching Cassidy and Tory Lanez go back and forth. And the first thing I said, I was like, yo, Cass, hang it up. Like, I love you. You are like, you're a legend in some aspects of hip hop. And now you've moved on to battle rap. But what it takes to give a good diss record in hip hop right now, you got to have everybody wanting to play the record, even if it's not a diss, and you're just getting barred off, but we won't ever play that song again. While Tory Lanez is on one of these instrumentals that's already kind of, that type of sound is popular in the clubs. He's floating on it. He's dissing you, but he's also like entertaining people who might not know that he's dissing you, and I think that's the back-to-back effect, right? It's like, we're cool with diss songs, but like, if it's only a diss, like it's only so you're only hitting this much of the population if you're only going for bars.
It only goes so far.
Yeah, it's only goes so far. So I think it's changed like that. And I've kind of realized, the bigger artists, I'm watching them kind of press the line of getting super personal with dissing each other. It's had some expensive costs, to say the least, in the past. Of course, rest in peace, Tupac Shakur and definitely Biggie. But we're watching artists who are pretty much almost pop stars getting super personal and how that kind of pans out. So I think that's interesting too.
Now, one of your early episodes of your podcast, Off the Record, you got Tekashi 6ix9ine on there and Whack 100 having the conversation. Why did you think it was good to have them on the show to kick it off and give them a platform?
I think it's almost the very essence of what Off the Record is. It's uncomfortable conversations and conversations that, people are having, but people feel like, they're so concerned with their image, they wouldn't want to necessarily have on camera. Like right now, for example, we're in a time where hip hop, even street music, is being consumed by a lot of kids who aren't from the street, who aren't in areas or even in vicinities where that type of stuff that's being rapped about, which a lot of it is the realities for some people. The people consuming it, they're not from these places, right? So, at times when, for example, the idea or the thing about snitching where, obviously there's some people who like feel that's almost like a cardinal sin if you've been making certain type of music or you come from a certain life to be involved in that. And some other people are like, well, we don't really see the big like point about it. To have that conversation to bridge the gaps, like that's very important. And, even when I was on my previous show, Everyday Struggle, like I believe my job in the culture, whether people like me or hate me, is to make sure those conversations get had, like in terms of bridging the gap. There was a time where, the likes of Lil Uzi and Cardi and, all of what they used to call littles in this culture, they were shunned. Like they weren't really getting mainstream attention, this and third, because a lot of the people from the older generation used to be like, yo, this is garbage. Like these guys don't have any respect for this and third. But here's the thing. Yo, hip hop is evolving. The audience of hip hop is evolving. And as much as you might be married to a particular like version of it, you have to be open to growth. And how do you grow? You get to understand someone else. Like, listen, if it was embedded in your mind that anything that isn't a boom bap beat ain't real hip hop, of course you're going to hate what these dudes got going on. You hate them telling their stories over these non-traditional ways. I remember saying to people back in 2016, 2017, like, yo, Lover's Rage 2, that's a breakup album. Doesn't sound like a traditional breakup album, but it is. So when you look at it in that format, you realize how important it is. You have to speak to, as hip hop continues to grow, we're the biggest genre of music, right? We are the most impactful. Look on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Maybe just my TikTok. I don't see them dancing to a bunch of pop songs. They dancing to Lil Baby, Da Baby. They're dancing to
That's real.
Break. Everything is culturally impactful. Now, when it comes to the dialogue side of things, that's where, as I said, I'm a DJ, and just remember what I said about the DJ in dancehall culture. You're supposed to have those conversations about certain things being discussed in the music. Put that on Front Street. Have the dialogue. And dialogue is never real dialogue if you're only talking to people who are like-minded. If I'm saying something to people who already think like me, what's the point, right? Like, for example, Tekashi 6ix9ine, call him a snitch, whatever you want to call it, but the people who still like him don't even understand, and it's not even fathomable why what he did might be wrong. Same with people that are like, yo, this guy's snitch. They can't even understand, hey, listen, why he still has a platform, right? Have that conversation. And, you know, there are times that conversation could be damaging or hurtful, but a lot of times it could be insightful, you know, and people can learn a lot and people can learn each other, you know. So if you look at just everything in America right now, like race relations, you know, understanding the plight of, you know, the LGBTQ community in regards to how other people might be ignorant to them. I think even just even the baby recently, I think for him, he needed to have conversations like that to maybe be a little bit more educated. It's not about shunning people or just everybody standing in their corners. We all kind of got to grow, and we got to grow with culture. We got to grow with society. And that's why I try to push those conversations. So I thought it was interesting. I'm really happy that, you know, what ended up happening afterwards, nothing went left, like super left, where there was any type of, you know, spill out, you know, violent and nothing like that. All it did was create more conversation. And as I see the effects of that, people are still talking. So I hope to bring that to, like, you know, off the record. And if people tune in here on Spotify, like, they're going to be able to see me push the envelope a little bit in terms of, you know, kind of confront those things that seem to be taboo or things that seem to be unchallenged. It's not the place where, like, off the record just won't be the place where you come for the popular opinion or just hear me just kind of repeat the same talking points. I want to be challenged too. So it's not only a place where I want to try to introduce new ideas and third. If someone disagrees with me, this is a perfect place to come up here and have that conversation with me, to challenge me on maybe something that I think or something that I've said that may not be correct or
well, have me come on through.
Yeah. Let's
chop it up. Let's come on through and do that. So last but not least, you mentioned it a couple of times. You mentioned the prefix in your title, in your name, DJ Akademiks, and you talked about the culture, dancehall culture, sound clash culture, where that came from. Can we anticipate like a DJ Khaled style compilation album from the musical side of what you do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I got a collection of records right now. You know, I got a few records from some of the people who, you know,
name some.
YNW Melly. You know, I got a few tracks, which I don't know if I can say because they might use it for the album, but I definitely have a few YNW Melly records that I wanted to put out. You know, me and Youngboy was always in conversation about, hey, listen, I think he gave some of those records to Rich the Kid on his release, but, you know, hey, me just collecting a bunch of records from people who I like and putting out. Even I was actually featured even on 6ix9ine's like last project, which that record that ended up being there was a record that I was going to use as a compilation record. So I definitely see me doing that on like an album level. And actually, you know, I see sometimes there's conversation about like, well, is Akademiks really a DJ? And obviously people are so married to the thought that a DJ is like behind like, you know, a turntable. And by the way, like if you look back there, I'm on video with you, but
well, I see it.
That's a DJ set, you know. It's like, I think just as hip hop has evolved, DJing has to evolve. Like DJing at this point in 2021 can't just be you sitting behind like a turntable spinning like dropping a couple bombs or whatever and going home. If you really think about it, like
you're talking about curation.
Yeah.
You're talking about having something to say and just the culture around it. And DJing is the backbone of hip hop. Like hip hop was founded on the DJ, and we gotta remember that. And what you're doing in part of your work is bringing that notion back. You're saying, hey, what happened is you just got known for the talking part and the conversations first before the actual music. Is that fair to say?
No, 100%. And I always told people, I'm like, hey, listen, if I got known for, like, that's really one of my passions. Like, I love mixing, I love scratching. That's great. But like, my path to where I'm at took me a little bit in a different way. I still believe that's within the confines and the context of DJ. And by the way, I also got to shout out, like, that's why I love Spotify. They came to me with a great opportunity. I just did their taste playlist.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Listen, hey, I got 50 tracks I'm about to put on this playlist, and I'm going to curate it in a way where even if I'm not mixing the records in your house and you're just listening through your, your headphones, you're going to kind of get the vibe of what I was trying to create as a DJ. That's all that's what we have to do as DJs. We have to evolve. Like, everybody has to evolve. It's evolve or die.
And you can hear that evolution in this taste playlist takeover that DJ Akademiks did. You can hear it on Off the Record, his new exclusive Spotify podcast that's out today. It's out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays and Fridays, he has a roundtable discussion. And you may hear me pop up on that every now and then. Wednesdays, he's going to have artist interviews. That's DJ Akademiks.